What's up folks, RBG here, hitting you with more content on Marvel's Avengers. Crystal Dynamics is currently showcasing the title at Paris Games Week, or as I'm recording this commentary, and more details have been coming in pretty frequently. Some beg to differ, but I think it's been pretty reasonable considering the fact that Marvel's Avengers has another 6 months until it's released. But nonetheless, Crystal has offered up more details on the game's features, including customizable abilities through skill trees, solo and co-op missions, and unlockable gear and outfits. Now what's interesting is that these details and footage were already seen at PAX West and New York Comic-Con, only now it's available to the general public. So it was always a word of mouth thing where we heard about certain elements but it wasn't fully explained on how everything actually worked. But this new overview trailer gives us an in-depth explanation of everything. Firstly, I want to talk about the mission types, because outside of the overused A-Day mission that's essentially a linear tutorial, we haven't seen how much freedom we're going to have with each character. We haven't even seen how the co-op works, but basically after you completed the A-Day mission that sets up the plot, you can hop straight into multiplayer if you want to. But in doing so, it might spoil some of the campaign's narrative. And I like the idea of this because it adds more replay value, like you can ride the coattails of more experienced players and breeze through the story, or you can take the route of slowly building up your Avengers members through level grinding. I'm not sure how difficult it's going to be in terms of actual grinding, but I'm hoping it's reasonable, because we already have this questionable gear system that's giving off heavy Destiny vibes. But anyways, Crystal Dynamics says that the hero missions are single player only and that they're going to showcase a specific hero. This is basically how you're going to advance the campaign, but they're also going to unlock additional Warzone missions. So over the course of this original story, you're going to constantly unlock and play as the core roster of the Avengers, and once they've rejoined you, you open up more missions that give you dedicated time to explore their gameplay and their individual story. So essentially, that co-op option I mentioned earlier could really impact the story. Say for example, I have characters who are specifically tailored to certain missions, but I can't access other missions because they're also tailored to some of the other characters who aren't yet playable. I could basically access those unplayable missions by playing online with people who've already unlocked said characters. It's basically like having a skip button. You miss out on the minute details of how those characters rejoined with the Avengers, not to mention your character won't be as skilled as the other players online. Because you gotta remember, this game really encourages the players to build up on your hero to fit your preferred playstyle. I think it's probably the best to play Marvel's Avengers in a single player fashion. Like, I feel like the missions where you unlock characters is gonna feel the most rewarding because all of your hero's progress is gonna be shared through the game. So a powerful character like the Hulk is gonna feel more gratifying to play with once you use him and you actually apply some of those points that you unlock with other characters. But anyways, Crystal Dynamics goes on to say that these hero missions also give us great opportunities to build out custom spaces designed specifically and tailored to showcase each hero's unique traits and what makes them special. So you can imagine huge wide open environments for Iron Man to rocket around and plenty of destructible environments for the Hulk to smash. Now, I'm not sure what they mean by building out custom spaces. I feel like that was an error on the journalist's part and they meant specs or another word, but who knows. If it does in fact feature custom spaces such as training grounds, that would be dope. Because we do see visual examples on Iron Man's skill tree of all the different abilities like his lasers. So yeah, that part is interesting. Speaking of customizable spaces, I think it's unique that they're making the helicarrier, which is the hub, an actual character in and of itself. Apparently it's going to be an upgradable base of operations that I'm assuming will get more features as you upgrade. Like, I can see certain areas of it being blocked off until you fix it. And maybe it'll have training simulators for each Avengers member. But anyways, let's talk about the Warzone missions, because I think this is where most of the crazy stuff is going to happen. This will make up the bulk of the multiplayer aspect of the game, but it can be played solo. Crystal Dynamics says that the Warzone missions will spread across the globe and that the players will have expansive areas to explore. You'll have gear and resources to earn, enemies to battle, and plenty of secrets to find. And there's a wide variety of objectives, game types, and most importantly, they unlock new narrative content. So the more you play it, both hero missions and Warzone missions, the more hotspots are going to appear on your war table. Now, what's interesting to me is the fact that these missions will also impact the story similar to hero missions, but I'm wondering if these unlockable segments will have a major impact on the story or if it'll simply be a glorified side story / mission. If anything, I feel like this is something they want to use to encourage more players to play the missions, because you can just tell that future DLC is going to be aimed more towards the multiplayer features. I'm not saying that they aren't going to be releasing it for the main story campaign, but people are going to be using their downloadable costumes more in Warzone missions. But moving on, Crystal Dynamics reiterates a little of what I said earlier about how all of your heroes' progress is shared across the entire game. They go on to say that this will allow the players to move back and forth seamlessly between the mission times, and that this blend of story-driven single-player and online co-op really gives the best of both worlds. And I think the best of both worlds they're speaking of is opting to either play the game by yourself to prevent from being spoiled or playing through the co-op, basically the element of player choice. Something I'm worried about is how much they're going to make us grind for gear. Because if we're going to be honest, loot drops has always been a very iffy concept that can affect your experience in a positive or a negative way. I like the idea of playing different missions to unlock specific gear, but that novelty is going to wear thin if I'm going to be repeating the same missions over and over for different pieces. I'd rather utilize my skill to unlock things, you know what I'm saying? But anyway, since we're on the topic of gear, I just want to point out that the gear system isn't going to change the aesthetics for each character you play with. They're only going to affect certain stats. If you ask me, I think this is a bit of a letdown because it would have been cool to show off specific gear that other players don't have. It's the same as Marvel Spider-Man because outside of the quote-unquote suit crafting element, the costumes were purely cosmetic or there for show. You could essentially equip the special abilities onto any suit. I was a little annoyed with that, but eventually gave it a pass because Marvel Spider-Man is just a single player game. But Marvel Avengers has an online multiplayer, and a part of the fun in that feature is showing off things that others don't have. I mean, yeah, you may have an Avengers member who's up there in stats, but there's nothing about their look that makes them look like a badass. I really think Crystal Dynamics should have went in a similar route that NetherRealm Studios went with their gear system in Injustice 2, where every upgrade is visible. But I guess beggars can't be choosers. Like, a lot of work is going into this game, so certain things we really want might not make the cut. In regards to the costumes, it looks like there's going to be up to 24 outfits for each character, at least for the time being, and as you can see, it says that they're visual cosmetic appearance items that simply change the way the character looks. And most of these Iron Man suits we've already seen throughout the trailers and character spotlight videos, like the Sin and Star Boost armor. I think all of these will be featured in the different cutscenes where we see Tony wearing something like this outfit, which is obviously an Iron Man 1 reference where he was still creating his pulsar blasters. So that's pretty dope. Now, one thing that they need to completely get away from is the user interface, because it looks like Destiny's menu with a facelift, and I think they knew fans were going to raise an eyebrow to this because they disclosed that the UI design isn't final, but they need to get rid of that cursor and try to separate themselves from Destiny as much as possible. People are very weary of this game being your typical looter shooter, and hopefully that turns out to not be the case, but we'll just have to wait and see. Anyways, what do you guys think about all of this? Let me know down in the comments below. As always, I ask that you like or dislike the video. It doesn't have to be a thumbs up, it can be a thumbs down. Any feedback is good feedback and will only help me improve on my channel. But if you really enjoyed the video, it would help me out tremendously if you shared it on different social media outlets with all your friends and followers. Sharing really makes a difference. But this is your boy RBG signing out on another video. I'll catch you guys later. Peace out.